G'day, I'm Melissa Shannon, founder of DigitalScrapbookingHQ.com, and I'm here in Photoshop Elements 2021 with the ABCs of PSE. Today's letter of the day is the letter S, and we're going to be looking at the clone stamp tool. Now, you might remember when we talked about the letter J, we talked about the spot healing brush tool and the healing brush tool, and I mentioned a little bit of cloning in that one. So finally, here we are with the cloning video that you've all been waiting for. Cloning is how we use information from one part of a photo to replace information in another part of a photo. So for example, here we have this cutout of this electrical cable through our brick fast wall here, and we could use a healing brush tool for this kind of work, but for today I'm going to show you how to fix it using the clone stamp tool. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to hold down my Alt key to create a starting point for the cloning work. So here I've chosen the starting point of a brick that looks very similar to this brick, and so then I'm just going to clone that brick completely to cover up that cut part of the brick here. I'll do the same for this brick over here. I'll click here and then I'll go up and then I'll just clone that same brick to cover up. A clone stamp tool can be very helpful when you have repetition in your photograph or if you want to create repetition. So let's have a look at this photo, which you might have seen a few times if you've been watching this whole series. Give me a thumbs up if you're one of those people who've seen this photo a dozen times. So I'm going to clone this honky nut by holding down my Alt key, and then I'm just going to pop it over here on the other side. Maybe I want another one over here. I've cloned my honky nut a few times there. So that's the basics of how to use the clone stamp tool. Again, you can use the different brushes, which we go over in our brushes video. You can use the sample all layers if you would like to create non-destructive edits and, clone your honky nuts onto a new layer over here, for example. So now our honky nut is on its own layer. And once again, you can reduce or increase the size of your brush, the opacity, and you can use a blend mode to work with your photos. The other tool here is the pattern stamp, and that is where you might use a pattern, for example, on your photograph. So let's see what we have here. We have some nature patterns. Do we have grass? Yes, we have grass. So I'm going to use a pattern stamp to add some grass to this concrete here. So I'm just going to paint over any area that I want to be covered in grass. And again, you can adjust your opacity. You can zoom in and change the size of your brush to make it a more accurate feeling of a building site with grass. I don't think I've ever seen a building site with a blade of living grass before. And if you go too far, you can just, erase your excess grass. Of course, you can use any different patterns here. I, again, always love to have the large list so I can see what it's called. If I want to add a few chrysanthemums in to my grass, I can do that. But I honestly don't find a lot of use for my pattern stamps. You could use it. I guess one thing I was thinking of is if you just need some texture or if you just have some area to fill. But I don't tend to use a pattern stamp tool, but I do use the clone stamp tool quite a bit. There's some other options. I've got the show overlay, which shows the overlay of what we will be stamping. Just to mention, you'll notice here that it's still got the source as the other photograph. So, I am actually cloning Matthew onto this brick wall. You can have you can actually see the entire photo and how it will overlay on your background, or you can clip to just where your mouse is. So you can just see a shadow of an overlay of where you're cloning. You can also do the inverted overlay, which shows it in inverse. That's if you need to see it, like where to position it, but also you want it to contrast from your photo. And then you can auto hide your overlay while painting, if that helps. So, and as you'll notice, you can actually clone from one photograph to another. So if I did want to, include my famous honky nut, I can go over here, set my source by pressing the Alt key, and then come over here and paint my honky nut onto the wall. This very surrealist building site photo that we've ended up with. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you've learnt a little bit about how the clone stamp works and the pattern stamp as well. If you've enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you think about the ability to clone from one image to another. Did you know you could do that? It's pretty awesome. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to be notified of the other videos in the series. If you want to make sure that you don't miss any, you can sign up to my email list. You'll receive notifications of new videos, plus my free Photoshop Elements shortcut cards that you can print out and keep by your side as you're editing photos in Photoshop Elements. And if you'd like to learn more about digital scrapbooking or Photoshop Elements, you can head to digitalscrapbookinghq.com. Thanks for watching.